Welcome to Unhappy Teacher Podcast, a safe space for educators to vent, get it off your chest, and know that you are not alone. We are a community where we provide resources, advice, and tips for you to live your best life and be happy again with teaching. Today we have a wonderful, wonderful guest. A powerhouse in the entertainment industry she is. Yes, just go ahead and own it.
Lena Jenkins-Smith.
Miss Lena Jenkins-Smith, yes. With over 18 years of experience as an executive assistant, producer, and tour manager for some of Hollywood's elite clients, she is on a journey, nothing short of inspiring. But Lena's expertise doesn't stop there. She has multiple degrees in business management, psychology, and liberal studies with a laser focus on production. She is definitely a force to be reckoned with. Currently enrolled in NYU's prestigious Film and TV Essentials program, Lena's thirst for knowledge knows no bound. Always learn. That's how you are educated at heart. Of course, yes. She is a globetrotter with a wealth of experience. Her passion for music, fine cuisine, and taste, I must say as well, is unmatched. Perhaps Lena's greatest joy lies in her ability to combine her passion for production with film, television, and music, inspiring a new generation of youth along the way. So join me as I welcome Miss Lena Jenkins-Smith.
Thank you so much. That intro is so good. I'm like, who's coming through the door?
It is you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And yeah, this is so exciting.
Yes, I'm just happy that we finally have this time to kind of just sit and talk and just really dive in to know each other a lot more. Like, you know, you are just one phenomenal, busy woman.
Thank you.
Yes, and you wear so many hats.
I do.
You wear so many hats, and I was definitely surprised to know that you were a former teacher.
Yes.
What life was that?
Yes. Oh my God, that was actually an amazing. It was on my bucket list to become a teacher. So
really,
I always wanted. Production wasn't even on my bucket list, but being a teacher, I'd always wanted to be a school teacher. And yes, I do wear a lot of hats. Hats are fashionable, so why not? But yeah, I just had this dream that I wanted. I used to set up my little dolls and play school, and I had a chalkboard and, you know, all the things teacher-like. And it was something that I always wanted to do, and I knew I like to talk. So I'm like, if I can say something that means something and it's a message and I'm helping guide and foster youth, that was what I wanted to do. And I decided one day, you know what, I'm gonna do it. And the job I was on, I mean, I was making like over $60,000 a year back then. And they're like, you wanna quit and teach? They're like, you do know you're cutting your salary in half, right? And I'm like, this is what I wanna do. So
I know they
yeah,
look at you like crazy, like what? Like
they were looking at me crazy. They offered me more money to stay.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it was definitely tempting, but it was something that I knew I had to do for me to fulfill something I wanted to do that I always wanted to do. So I went to school for it, and I said, this is it. And I did it after I had my kids, so I think it had a lot more meaning to me
because now you had your own kids, and you're probably thinking like, okay. Their education and what I'm doing in the classroom.
Yes. Yeah, and I actually had, my son was in my class at one point. Yeah, it was cute. But it was cute. Yeah, not my daughter. My daughter was very spoiled in the classroom next door to mine. So yeah. But it was very interesting, and it was great that I had them to go along the journey with me. And I think mine was quite different because I taught private school. So it was a different experience, and although there was more autonomy, it was a lot more work. You know, there wasn't that guided, I don't want to say it wasn't guided structure, but the parameters were very wide. So in creating my curriculum, in creating my content and things that I did, I was also head of the PTA. So it was a lot going on. It was a lot going on, but it taught me how to create strong lesson plans, you know, and how to really just dive into the meat of the content, but to extract the things that were fun for them. Because I think that was part. My students were like, they weren't textbook students. A lot of them were privileged, you know. They lived a different type of life. So to get through to them and to reach them, I had to be very, very creative. And that was the fun that I had in it.
Well, I'm glad you share with us some of your memorable moments. And what subjects did you teach?
So I have first and second grade split, and I taught all subjects except for PE. They would never want me to teach PE. Like, we figure out a way to do PE in chairs if I taught PE. No, but I don't encourage that. I encourage healthy, lifestyle. I taught first and second grade split. Then I have fifth grade. Fifth grade was probably the best for me because I wasn't reminding them to sit down and sit still. It was fifth grade. I got to really get into the subjects. I really got, and like I said, I taught all subjects except for health because they had health and PE combined in the fifth grade. But that was fun. That was actually fun. It was challenging, but some of the kids were taller than me, so it was a thing. It was a thing. But yeah, it was very good. And and in the summer I taught middle school. So every summer I would teach. Wait, so you
did summer teaching too?
I did summer.
That's
teaching
how dedicated
too.
you were.
I know.
Let me tell you, they have not gotten
Summer's a different pay. Summer's like summer. You might as well be paying them to.
Summer, they have not gotten me to do summer yet. That's how burnt out I'm. When it gets to May,
yes, that's it.
I don't want to talk about it.
And I was responsible for the fifth grade graduations.
Yeah,
so that was a thing in itself. Yeah, it was a lot. But summer was challenging because it was like I had middle school, but they were also after school. I'd have the younger ones, so that range that was a little stressful for me because it was a lot. Like from the little kids to middle school, it was a lot.
So what made you transition out of teaching? When did you know it was time? When was it you just woke up and said, I quit, peace, I'm not coming back? Or was it like planning behind it?
It's so funny story. I had another job. So that's when I started in the entertainment industry. And I met Katt Williams and I was working for him at night and on the weekends. And finally I did that because I didn't want to I think I met him in January and it was in June. In June they had the graduation. So I was responsible for the graduation, so I didn't want to leave the kids. And he's like, I know you love the kids, but whenever you're ready to take this on and not stress, and I said, okay, I think I can do both. And he's like, you're gonna kill yourself, I can. I did it for 6 months. When I tell you, not sleeping, and we were filming the Tracy Morgan show at the time, and I would wake up and be dedicated, be at that school at 6 a.m. and we would be rapping like 2 a.m. No sleep, and it was rough, but I was so dedicated to the kids that I felt a sense of loyalty. I was like, I can't leave them hanging for the graduation. Now, after that graduation, I was like, listen, this paycheck over here, I love you guys, and I will come volunteer sometimes, but, so that's when I made my transition because I was burnt out. I literally was burnt out and I couldn't do it. But I did stay to finish the graduation. I made sure it was a very memorable one. But yeah, that was kind of my send off.
Do you think if you had not met Katt Williams at that time, would you have stayed teaching?
Yes.
Or were you always kind of like, oh, there's a little something else out there for me?
The only other thing I thought I would do was be a principal. I always felt like I would be in the educational system because once I got in, I loved it. Like I loved doing it. It just, financially, me being a single parent at the time, taking care of 3 kids, it was difficult. So I knew that financially I had to, and that's another thing that really upsets me because I'm like, my garbage man makes more than a school teacher. So this is like what we're regarding and we're revering as high standards. And, if you think what you can make on some other platforms, but the people that are actually helping to raise your children, your village, that's who you don't take care of financially. And it was appalling to me that we could do, and I was consistently coming out of my pocket. Like kids wouldn't have certain things. And even in private school, it's like some of them don't have things. I'm buying things for them, supplies, and taking them on field trips and paying for their food. And so it was difficult because I thought, why don't they just put more money in the budget.
It's just because it makes sense.
It makes sense.
It makes sense.
Or if we know our kids are coming to school, why isn't that then included in the tuition to have school supplies? Or why isn't it incorporated into the educational system? We spend billions on bombs. So,
let's talk about that. So, like, I've really been like, thinking I need to study some education policy or maybe some educational law, because there's just a lot of things I know how to teach, but I don't understand the policies and politics and the budgets and all this stuff. Like, it really, it just can't be that simple.
It can't be that simple, but it's not a lot of, as you said, needing to study about it. It's not a lot of people that are willing to fight for it and are willing to do anything about it. We're so complacent in system period, let alone the educational system. Like, that seems to be the farthest removed from change making. And that's important, because as we're passing these bills and for certain things to happen and for them to not ban TikTok, like, why are we not concerned?
No, right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we not concerned with our kids? These are our babies, and we wonder why some of them just aren't smart. They're not engaging. They're just everything. They're just on their phones. It's like, where do we reach back for them?
I know.
And how do we do that? And unfortunately, it just takes money to do that. It takes money. And I had a very good opportunity to see a different type of school district. So when I came from Los Angeles, and Los Angeles, in certain areas, it's a very good school district, but for the most part, LA is not a good school district. And I don't want to like overgeneralize, but there's so many impoverished areas in Los Angeles where the school system just isn't fostered. So when I came to Atlanta, and then being in like Gwinnett County school districts, and I saw a lot more concern, I think, for our kids. And I'm from LA, so that was shocking for me. And I saw there's a school bus system, and the schools are they're built, they're nice looking schools. People they take the time to actually educate our kids, and that's important. So I really felt a sense of something has to be done, because if they can do this, and I know what type of budget that they're on, if they can do this, then of course, if you're somewhere else where the cost of living is higher and you have means and access, it should be implemented, I think. And that was one of the biggest things that kind of disappointed me about the educational system, which is why I still support it, which is why I'm here with you today, because this is near and dear to my heart. Like, this is, I have kids. I have a granddaughter now, 5-year-old, and I'm in the schools all the time. They're like, who is she? Listen, I used to be a school teacher. That's my tag. I used to be a school teacher. You're
like, what is she learning? Where's her homework?
That's right.
Is she getting homework?
And I still feel I'm an educator, because going to school, like, I always wanted to set a good example for my kids, and I stayed in school so long. So it's like, you're
passionate
a lifelong
about
learner.
Education. You're still learning right now.
Absolutely.
You're still like, okay, still learning my craft. And once an educator, always an educator. You always teaching somebody something, whether it's in production, in the classroom, or outside the class. So you're always an educator. Yeah. If you can say one thing, like finish the sentence, I can't stand
lazy teachers.
Ooh.
Lazy teachers.
I can't stand lazy teachers.
I've seen it too often. And I'm not going, I can't put the argument as, you're getting paid to do the job, because we all know, like, as we said, what the pay for some educators are, right? But it's still, these are people's kids' lives that you have in your hand. They remember the first, especially elementary school. Elementary school is the foundation. And if you're not doing right by these kids in the foundation of their life, it forever hinders them. It's hard for them to move through, to progress to higher grades. And it's important, because I still remember my 3rd grade teacher. I remember my 5th grade teacher.
Yes.
Miss Hutcherson. Shout out to Miss Hutcherson.
Miss Davis. You're right. Those elementary years are like your foundation. You remember the hard parts, the fun parts. And I remember vividly my 5th grade year so much. And I wanted to be that teacher. I want to be that teacher, but you do get burned out. You do get burned out, and a lot of teachers are transitioning. And if you could give any advice to teachers who are thinking about transitioning out of the classroom, and you know, they may be scared to leave that stable job, you know, but you did it.
I did it, but mine was unorthodox. So that, like, that situation just doesn't automatically happen where, you know, you're working and then the next day you meet a celebrity and now you're on the road. That was very different. That's not the usual. So I would say if you can stick with it. And I would say those that are struggling as teachers, still continue if you can in the educational path. As I said, becoming an assistant principal, a principal, someone that's on the board of education, because it's important for you to understand that other teachers get burnt out. So if all the teachers quit, who's teaching the kids? I'm saying then the parents are the teachers, and some of us should never be teachers. You know, like we saw that during the pandemic. So I would say that continue furthering your own education so that you can go back and educate others, because everybody can't leave the school system. You just can't. We need those people that are passionate about education, that are loving on these kids, that are making sure they have stable growth and foundation. That's important. Like they need that. And so if you can't do it inside of the classroom, because you know, you and I know you have to have that love for it. You cannot, it's not about anything else other than loving to teach and loving to reach the kids. You have to have that. But if you don't have that enough to be in the classroom, because we see what happens. We're on Instagram. We see the incidents where teachers get fed up and things happen, and you know, it turns to other
kids
things.
are attacking teachers. There's no teacher
violent
protection.
And unruly. Yes.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, I'm teaching middle school, and I am every day I go in with, okay, I'm going to teach today, but I'm also thinking I'm putting out fires everywhere. Like, nobody's fighting. Okay, wait, you stay over there. Why are you looking at him like that? Wait, turn around. Like, they're always trying to start something.
Yes, they do.
I can't even send the kids to the bathroom by themselves because
it's a problem.
They do stuff in the bathroom.
You have to be in their psyche to know, and that's a hard thing to be in an emotionally raged, you know, I mean, hormones on fire, like it's, and I saw that in middle school. I didn't see it so much in elementary school, so I felt like I kind of had it. I felt like I kind of had it easy, but in middle school, like it's like you're right. Like you can't let two of them go down the hallway. They might not come back, and who's doing what, who's wearing.
And you know, I feel like I can accept this behavior in elementary school because I'm like, they're still learning. We're teaching them, and I'm like, I don't know if that's the problem for giving them a slap on the wrist and saying it's okay. I don't know. But then they get to middle school, and it's just crazy. I can only assume by high school they just grown as adults.
High school, they're adults. They're adults with you. And like I said, I'm 5'3", so most of these kids were bigger than me, and sometimes it's not worth the fight.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you can reach those that if you do fight hard enough. Like I had two students in my class, two young men that were just, you know, like their parents were a little from the street, so they had a different attitude coming in. And even though being in private school, they were still the ones that everybody know, don't mess with those two, because they're just. And I was the one that's like, you got to break this now, or else it will continue into middle school and high school. So I had to do, you know, different exercises and different things, a different process to reach them. But once I tapped into, they're like, okay, she's not just here for the check. She actually cares about me. So I had to take tough love with them, which is hard for me to do because like I'm a nice person. So it's hard for me to be tough. But they always say you can start off strong and then back up, but you can't do it the other way around. If you start off like, you know, your first day in classroom, everything's cool.
They say, no, you got to be mean to them the first day. Be strict. Down the law. They say, don't smile for the first few months. They said, don't cry. It's hard for me not to.
It's hard. But once they see you care, and like you can't reach everybody, unfortunately. It is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But me, it was, and I had a young lady that I just couldn't reach. But it was important enough for me to know, which is where my psychology degree comes in, that I need help reaching her. She needs extra attention. She needs therapeutic, a therapeutic journey is what she needed. And in doing so, and I did it early enough where it helped her, and she reached back out to me. It was like, I still remember you talking about remember your 5th grade teacher.
Yeah.
They're reaching out. I feel old, but they're reaching out to me now, like on Instagram, like, Miss Smith, remember me? How could I forget? Like,
and that's the joy, right? That's when you feel like, wow, okay, I did something. I was able to help someone.
Yes, absolutely. I had a very high percentage of my students that are college graduates. So I had 24 students in my class, And out of the 24, 19 of them went to college.
Wow.
Out of the 19 that went to college, 17 graduated. Though, I mean, and I know that's like, it's not everybody, but those
that's
statistics,
beautiful, and that's something you can bask in, because
Absolutely.
everyone doesn't get to hear the
Absolutely.
joys of that. So we need to hear some joys about that.
that's
Maybe in 10 years, I have students come back and be like, wow, Mr. Sela, I remember.
Yes.
I'm waiting for those moments, because that's when I will know that all the stress I have put up with, it was worth it. Even if for that one child, it was worth it.
Yes, and I had and the thing for me is I had celebrity kids in my class. So they were used to a different lifestyle and a different, but they also saw that aside from all that, once you break down the layers, who's here for me, that's really here for me.
Yeah.
I had no idea knowing they were going to be in the class. So it's still my obligation to make sure that everyone's treated fairly, that everyone has access to education opportunity. And that's just what I did. I looked at my life as, this is my purpose. This is why I am here to teach. I'm here. And I love the youth environment. So even in my productions, I have a lot of youth-based content, because it's still the same for me.
Yes.
And now I have an even greater meaning because of my kids and my grandkids. So yeah, it's absolutely a full circle moment. But yeah, I want to just tell educators, just hang in there, because I know it's tough.
Hang in
but
there.
Hang in there. Now, don't let nobody abuse you now, but hang in there. That's a different story.
Don't nobody
abuse you, and don't you abuse or use anybody, because it goes both ways.
Yeah.
But there are systems that are set up in place to facilitate with things like that, and I think they should just try that before giving up.
Let me ask you one question, and be very honest.
Okay, I'm honest.
I don't know, I keep picking up this pen.
Right, I feel your teacher moment. You scolded me. I thought I was back in the classroom.
I know, right?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
But, how do I want to phrase this? Would you go back into the classroom right now? No stipulations on it. Just, would you go back into the classroom?
I would go back into a college classroom.
Okay.
I would go, and I only say go back because I did have an opportunity when to speak and teach in a few college courses, not a whole, it was just a couple courses here and there. And it was kind of my trickle down moment, and I thought I could, because I was talking about production, but I was still in an educational facility. And I think that just because of my patience level, I'm older now, so I don't have as much patience as I used to, but I do think that was a vicinity for me to still share what I wanted to share. And then what we did was we had younger kids come and sit in on the session. So that's something, I would do something like that. Field trip day or something. It was cool. I don't think I have the wherewithal to be back in the classroom now, because I've been so far removed for so long, and things have changed. Things have changed. There's some stuff I could not
You're like, nope, I can't do that. No more.
But I do know people that do have that patience, and so I've encouraged others to go into teaching, because I can tell you have a passion for it. You have a passion for kids. You have a passion for learning, and I still have that. Mine isn't going to be fostered best in the classroom. Mine is going to be with what I put on TV, film and television, and how I reach back so that those things can be shown in the classroom. So I'm still in the classroom. I didn't get out of there.
Yes, but I love that for you. Some master classes on production, management, entertainment industry. That's definitely,
and just on being a good person. We're doing a good.
Let's take it back to the basics. Just be
a good person. Start there.
Because some of these kids just need some.
We should start bringing, I think, things like etiquette classes and social reform classes, like those type of things. They need to just learn how to be good humans. Start there, and then other things will come naturally.
Yes.
We can tutor you all day long, but if you don't sit here and cuss us out while you're tutoring, that's not cool. But yes, I do think that I would still somehow always be tied to the classroom. And I would be the first person to say, let us bring our production company to your school and let's create something together. Let's have a student film session, film workshop, and let's let the students make their own movies, and we show them how to work cameras. I have an amazing director. I've got amazing cinematographers.
And they would love that. They would definitely love that as a club or, an extracurricular, something like that. I think students definitely need different outlets that doesn't always look like opening up this textbook and reading this page. We need to make it look different, because the future of education, it's going, and we better jump on this train and
going.
change it to fit where these kids are right now, because we're losing them and we're losing our teachers. So I mean, I thank you for being an advocate for, still telling teachers to hang in there, because I know it's tough, but like you said, everybody just can't quit.
Right.
There's gonna be no teacher.
Everybody can't quit. There'll be no teacher.
Right.
There'll be no teacher.
So before we get out of here, let me know, tell the audience, how do you deal with stress? Like, what do you do for wellness? I know, like, again, being an entrepreneur, having, so many hats that you wear, and but entertainment industry has long hours.
Oh my God.
What do you do for wellness? Or do you need to take some more time? Because do you need more time for self-care and wellness?
That was going to be what I don't do that well in the health and wellness area. And I recognized it, and I'm starting. So it's a thing, like I will run myself ragged, because my thing is I'm always pleasing others first. And that's just, I was kind of raised like that, so it's hard to kind of shake it. And if I feel like, which is another thing that I think is important that we address, like, because women, like, self-care to me feels selfish, even though I know it's not. And so I'm thinking, like, oh man, if I'm in here relaxing or getting an hour massage or something, somebody's out there running wild and they need my help, and my phone has 15 missed calls, and it's a thing where I can't ever turn it off. But I do know it's important to do that, and I'm trying to start to eat healthier. I have 2 vegan sons that are showing me that, this is the way you should live, and this is things you should do, and the organic lifestyle and the eco-friendly lifestyle, and that type of thing. Like, I have literally examples. My granddaughter is a vegan, 5 years old, following after her father's footsteps, and actually telling me, she'll watch me and eat. She said, Lala, that's not healthy. I don't think you should eat that, because that doesn't look good.
The baby's teaching you, right?
She's a chef. So yes, she's teaching me, and it's one of those things where I feel bad, because I know I want to be around a long time for her.
Yes.
So I do have to handle it. Stress, I handle stress well, because I've always handled stress well, but I internalize it a lot, and I don't think that's necessarily healthy. But I can maneuver through stress. I've done it for years, but I do know that there's a better way to do it.
Yeah.
De-stress, that is important. De-stress, detox, that is important.
Yes.
We are actually creating right now a women's mental health and wellness retreat. Okay. That is going to be something that I think is important for no matter what profession you're in.
Definitely.
Teachers need it, number one, first
Definitely.
of all. But whatever profession you're in, you need to come and be around others and kind of let that soak in. And we learn from each other how to do it. It's, as Black women, we have, some of the highest cancer rates. We have some of the highest diabetes rates, stress, high blood pressure.
And we don't know how to ask for help when we need it, and sometimes, we could be sitting across from each other right now, and we won't say, hey sis, I need help. Help me, I'm drowning.
Help. We won't.
Because we just carry this weight.
Yes.
And I'm just gonna tell you.
You said a thing right there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Just take 30 minutes and turn the phone off and say, this is my time.
Yes.
The world won't burn down, or they will figure it out
They'll
without
figure
you.
it out. They'll figure it out. And we need to do that more often. And I think even as teachers, if teachers did that, whatever your lunch break is or something, get outside of the classroom.
Oh,
a lot of times I would lock
oof.
myself in the classroom, but I'm like, I'm still in the environment. Get out, take a walk, sit in your car, do something that puts you outside of that space. So when you come to that space, you're refreshed, and that space doesn't then become a symbolism of your stress. Right. And so I think that if you do that and kind of get out more, I had to do it. I had to walk around. I had to woosah, because it was like, woo, some days, let me tell you. But I had the best structure. The principal of the school was amazing, an absolute advocate for take the time you need so that you can be right for these kids. Let me talk to you if I see you having a moment, a bad day. Let me pull you out the classroom, put a sub in, because I don't need you hollering at the kids, okay? So it was a very structured, very, Miss Beverly Zachary. And I'm going to send this to you, so I know you'll be watching. I love you, and you taught me the game, let me just say, and how to be a good teacher. The first year I was there, I won Teacher of the Year award, and that meant so much to me that it drove me even harder to foster that good energy. And that's important. If more teachers did that, it's directly correlated to our kids and how our kids are growing up.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here with us today and just really dropping your gems and enlightening us and really pushing our teachers to just, stay in it, find your wellness, find your group, So go ahead and just share with our viewers. Tell us how that we can contact you, how they can find you online if they want to join the wellness retreat.
Yes, so if you want to join the wellness retreat, our website is goldstrandmedia.com. You can also DM me on Instagram at She's the Producer. And I'll send you the links to everything. We have a lot going on, so I don't want to waste her precious time explaining all that we have, but you can reach out to me and I'll give you everything you need to know.
Thank you. So yes, thank you for joining Unhappy Teacher Podcast. I'm Courtney Sela, and be sure to follow us on unhappyteacherpodcast.com and subscribe.